Rao placed a hand on her shoulder. They're overconfident, overly proud. That's our advantage. Alina gave a small, determined nod. Outside, the alien armada prepared for a show of dominance, unaware that hidden in the shadows, humanity's most daring and secret defenders were coming alive. The Dominion had demanded Earth's surrender, but the Shadow Fleet was preparing to show them something they had never imagined. A human fight that would leave no galaxy in doubt. And in that quiet moment, as the first rays of sunlight fell across terrified cities, Alina realized that fear could not defeat hope. Humanity was about to awaken, and the galaxy would soon see that surrender was never an option. The world waited with bated breath as the alien fleet maintained its menacing hold over Earth. Above the oceans, in cloaked silence, the Shadow Fleet stirred like a predator preparing to strike. Commander Alina Vey watched the displays, her eyes sharp, her mind focused. Every pilot, every hidden ship, every weapon system was ready. This was the moment they had trained for, the moment humanity had been preparing for in secret for decades. Night fell across the cities under siege. The first human ships emerged from their cloaks. They moved like shadows, silent and unseen, slipping between the massive alien warships. Their mission was simple but dangerous: strike at the Dominion's supply lines, disrupt their formation, and send a clear message. The humans were small in number compared to the alien armada, but they were swift, precise, and determined. All units execute Phase 1, Alina commanded, her voice steady through the secure channels. Move fast, hit hard, and vanish before they know what struck them. The human ships darted forward. Invisible to the Dominion, they unleashed precision strikes on alien drones, crippling engines and destroying key supply nodes. Explosions erupted silently across the sky, the Dominion's forces confused as their perfectly coordinated formation faltered. Human ingenuity was on full display, as ships twisted, dodged, and outmaneuvered enemies many times their size. From the command center, Alina watched the numbers. The Dominion's smaller ships were falling faster than anyone could have predicted. Civilians watching from below began to notice something miraculous. The alien vessels, thought invincible, were vulnerable. Hope ignited like wildfire. People cheered from hiding places, whispering to one another that maybe, just maybe, humanity could fight back. Even in the midst of victory, Alina felt the weight of the cost. One of the Shadow Fleet's strike teams had not returned. She grimaced at the blinking red icon on her screen, a reminder that even in stealth and surprise, danger was unavoidable. Every life lost was a scar on her conscience. We fight for every soul, she whispered to herself. We cannot fail them. The Dominion reacted quickly, their arrogance replaced by fury. Massive shields flared across the fleet, and larger warships turned to face the human attackers. Energy beams streaked toward Earth's surface, but the Shadow Fleet had anticipated this. Using decoy drones and sudden maneuvers, the human ships vanished and reappeared, striking again at critical points. Their movement was unpredictable, their courage unmatched. On Earth, military leaders and scientists watched in awe as the tide of battle began to shift. The Dominion had assumed humans were weak, fragile, and primitive. They had believed fear alone would be enough to ensure surrender. But humans had something the Dominion could not understand: resilience, determination, and a refusal to bow. Every ship in the Shadow Fleet represented not just technology, but the spirit of a species unwilling to die quietly. Alina's eyes scanned the battlefield. Keep the pressure, she ordered. They may have the numbers, but we have the strategy. Don't stop. Her pilots, ordinary humans who had trained in secret for years, felt a surge of pride and adrenaline. They were fighting not for glory, but for survival, for family, for friends, for every human soul that had ever looked up at the stars and dared to dream. Each strike was a message. Earth would not surrender. Earth would fight. By the end of the night, the Dominion's formation was in chaos. Their drones and smaller attack ships lay in ruins, their larger vessels confused and vulnerable. Humanity had achieved something no one had expected. Against overwhelming odds, the Shadow Fleet had struck first, and they had struck effectively. Alina exhaled, her tension easing slightly but her focus never wavering. The Dominion had underestimated humans. They had assumed fear would win, but courage, intelligence, and unity had proven far more powerful. The battle was far from over, but the first blow had been dealt. Somewhere in the shadows, the Shadow Fleet regrouped, waiting for the next move. Above them, the alien armada still hovered, unaware that Earth's defenders had already begun turning the tide. And in that quiet, tense moment, humanity discovered something extraordinary. Even in the face of extinction, they could fight. And they could win. The dawn over Earth was pale and fragile, filtered through the smoke and debris left by the Dominions. Attacks. Cities that had survived the night's chaos were scarred, streets littered with rubble and buildings smoldering from energy blasts. Humanity had fought back, but the cost was evident everywhere. The Shadow Fleet had succeeded in their first strike, but not without sacrifice. Several pilots and ships had been lost to the alien defenses. Alina Vey's chest tightened as she reviewed the status reports. Every red blip on her display represented a life gone, a person who had trained for this moment, a human who had trusted her command, a friend and comrade who would never return home. In the command room, silence filled the space as the weight of loss pressed on every officer. Lieutenant Rao's jaw was tight, his hands clenched at his sides. "We're alive, yes," he said quietly. "But at what cost?" Alina looked at him, her eyes heavy with grief yet burning with resolve. "Every life we lost was part of the price for saving billions. It hurts. I won't pretend it doesn't. But if we stop now, if we let fear take control, then all those sacrifices were meaningless. We owe it to them to keep fighting." Outside, the Dominion regrouped. Their warships, though damaged, remained a terrifying presence above Earth. They unleashed new attacks, more brutal and precise than before, aiming to break human morale by sheer force. Energy beams streaked toward cities, detonating with devastating power, and human defenses struggled to counter them. Civilians ran through the streets, panic etched into every face. The Shadow Fleet, invisible and hidden, knew they could not protect every city at once. They were a small force against a vast empire, and yet their actions had already changed the tide. Alina's mind raced. She knew that courage alone would not win this war. Humanity needed strategy, ingenuity, and sacrifice. The fleet's pilots, many of whom were young and untested in real battle, moved with precision, each maneuver designed to save as many lives as possible while striking at the Dominion's vulnerable points. Each mission was dangerous. Each success was shadowed by loss. In one strike team, Commander Jarek, one of Alina's most trusted officers, gave the ultimate sacrifice. His ship drew the Dominion's attention away from a city under bombardment, engaging a massive alien warship with no chance of survival. His actions allowed dozens of other ships to escape and civilians to evacuate. When his vessel was destroyed, in a blinding explosion, the Shadow Fleet's communications were filled with silent grief and quiet reverence. Alina stood in the command room, staring at the screen where Jarek's final maneuvers were recorded. Tears filled her eyes, but she refused to break down in front of her team. "We honor them by continuing," she said softly. "Their courage gives us the strength to fight. Every human life we save now is because of their sacrifice." The crew understood. They had all lost friends, family, or comrades in the battle, yet the pain forged a deeper bond among them. Every pilot, engineer, and strategist carried the same determination. They would not let the Dominion win. Humanity had endured countless challenges in history, and now, faced with an enemy from the stars, they would endure again. The sky over Earth had never looked like this before. Enormous ships, black and glinting like shards of night, hung silently above every major city. Their shadows stretched across oceans, mountains, and plains, blotting out the sun in places. Panic spread like wildfire. People screamed, prayed, or simply froze, staring at the impossible sight. Governments scrambled, diplomats begged for communication, but no human voice could penetrate the vastness of the alien fleet. Above New York, the largest ship broadcasted a single terrifying message to the world: surrender or be destroyed. The speaker's voice was cold, precise, and inhuman, yet every word carried a weight that made humanity shiver. It came from the Thalrax Dominion, a species that had conquered dozens of star systems, known across galaxies for crushing entire populations without mercy. They had arrived not for dialogue, not for negotiation, but to demand submission. In the midst of this chaos, fear gripped the streets, but somewhere beneath the panic, hope still flickered. Deep in the Pacific Ocean, hidden in a network of enormous, submerged tunnels and satellite bunkers, humanity's most secret defense program was stirring. The Shadow Fleet, a collection of ships older than most human governments, designed in utmost secrecy and equipped with advanced cloaking and weapon systems, began to awaken. Commander Alina Vey stood at the center of the orbital command station. The room was dark, illuminated only by holographic displays of the alien fleet hovering above Earth. Her hands rested on the control console, knuckles white. She felt the weight of billions of lives pressing down on her shoulders. The world outside screamed in terror, but she refused to let fear control her. Alina had trained for this moment, though she had hoped it would never come. "Status report," she demanded, her voice steady, despite the tremor she felt inside. Lieutenant Rao, her second in command, checked the displays rapidly. "All Shadow, fleet vessels are operational and fully cloaked. Our sensors indicate the Dominion's shields are impenetrable to conventional Earth weapons. Our strike teams are ready on your command." Alina's jaw tightened. She looked at the holographic map of the cities beneath the alien ships. Millions of civilians huddled in fear, unaware that salvation might already be moving silently in the waters, beneath the oceans, and above in secret orbital platforms. She knew that time was against them. Every second that passed gave the Dominion more opportunity to strike, to destroy, to crush hope. Yet she could see something in the sensors that no one else could: the hum of potential. The Shadow Fleet was not just a group of ships. It was humanity's hidden strength, the culmination of decades of planning and preparation. This moment, terrifying as it was, had always been why the fleet existed. If humanity fell, there would be no second chance. But if they fought with courage and unity, Earth could rise like a sleeping giant finally awakening. Alina inhaled deeply, trying to calm the storm in her mind. She thought of the millions counting on them, the parents, the children, the friends, the strangers. She thought of her own family, far away, waiting in a city shadowed by alien dominance. Every heartbeat reminded her that this battle was not just about strategy or ships. It was about survival, and about proving to the galaxy that humans were not weak. "Activate Shadow Protocol," she commanded. Her voice echoed through the control room, steady, unyielding. Around her, lights flickered on across the fleet stations. Hidden ships deep in the ocean began moving silently, submersibles diving with precision. Orbital platforms hummed as energy built within cloaked vessels. Humanity's secret weapons, long thought unnecessary, were preparing to step into history. Outside, the Dominion's massive ships remained unmoving, confident in their superiority. But they had not seen Earth's hidden guardians yet. They did not know the humans below, in hiding, were watching and calculating. They could not understand that sometimes the most dangerous force in the galaxy is not the strongest weapon, but a species that refuses to surrender. Alina gazed at the display of the alien fleet once more. Her eyes were sharp, focused, burning with determination. "If they want war," she whispered almost to herself, "we'll give them a fight they'll never forget." And in the darkness, deep beneath the oceans and far above in hidden orbit, humanity's shadow fleet began to stir. The morning light barely touched the cities before the Dominion began to make their move. Gigantic ships descended slowly, casting colossal shadows across skyscrapers, forests, and oceans. Their presence alone was a statement. Earth was a planet to be conquered, not respected. Alarms blared everywhere, homes, offices, and streets, filled with terrified humans trying to comprehend the scale of the invasion. Panic was everywhere, but for many, there was no escape. From above, the Dominion's spokesperson appeared on every screen on Earth. He was not like a human, nor anything humanity had seen before. His translucent skin shimmered with faint light, and his multiple eyes reflected the chaos below. He spoke in a voice that vibrated through buildings, in every language and frequency humans could understand. Resistance is pointless. Surrender, or face total annihilation. People dropped to their knees. Some wept, others screamed, and some silently prayed, hoping against hope that someone, somewhere, would save them. Military leaders issued orders, but their words faltered as their missiles and jets collided with an invisible wall of alien shields. Earth's defenses, strong by human standards, were useless. Each attack fizzled and vanished before it could reach a single alien vessel. Yet in the darkness of deep space and beneath the oceans, the Shadow Fleet moved silently. Commander Alina Vey observed the alien formation through her holographic screens, noting every movement. Her heart pounded, not with fear, but with a growing fire. The Dominion believed Earth was weak. They had no idea that humanity's secret, weapons, the fleet hidden for decades, were waiting for this moment. Every ship, every pilot, every hidden base was a spark of resistance, ready to ignite. Lieutenant Rao, standing beside her, broke the tense silence. "They're overconfident, Commander. Their shields are strong, yes, but they've never fought humans directly. They don't understand our tactics, our creativity, or our will to survive." Alina nodded slowly. "Exactly. They think fear is enough. But fear alone doesn't protect anyone. Courage does. And humans, ordinary humans, have courage in ways the galaxy has never seen." She paused, staring at the images of cities under threat. "We have one chance, one strike. If we fail, billions are gone. But if we succeed..." Her voice trailed, filled with determination. The Shadow Fleet's ships began aligning, moving into positions that were invisible to the Dominion. Deep-sea submersibles slipped quietly beneath the oceans, while orbital platforms above Earth adjusted silently, cloaked from alien sensors. Humanity's defenders were small in number compared to the massive alien armada, but they were precise, clever, and deadly. They had no choice but to rely on ingenuity. Meanwhile, the Dominion made their first demonstration of power. With a single command, smaller drones and attack ships swarmed over major cities. Explosions lit up the skyline as skyscrapers shuddered, under blasts. Civilians ran blindly, but nowhere was safe. From space, the alien vessels watched with cold amusement, believing the humans were finally broken. Alina clenched her fists. "No," she whispered. "They haven't seen anything yet. They don't know who we are." Her voice grew firmer as she addressed the fleet's pilots through secure channels. "Shadow Fleet, remember why you exist. Every ship you command, every maneuver you make is for Earth. Every life down there depends on us. Move smart, move fast, and remember, humans never give up." Alina's thoughts drifted to the people on Earth, the children huddled in basements, the parents trying to protect them, the millions of lives hanging in the balance. She whispered a promise to herself. "We will not fail. We cannot fail. Every sacrifice will matter." As the Shadow Fleet regrouped and prepared for the next wave, Earth seemed small and fragile beneath the alien armada. Yet in that fragility, Alina saw strength. Humanity's spirit, forged in adversity and bound by courage, refused to yield. The losses were heavy, the sacrifices real, but they had not broken the people of Earth. They had awakened something the Dominion could not understand, the unyielding will to survive and fight back, no matter the cost. And somewhere deep in the ocean and high in the orbiting stations, the Shadow Fleet prepared for the next strike, carrying with them the memory of the fallen and the hope of every human still alive. The Dominion was growing, restless. Their massive warships, once flawless in formation, now wavered under the unexpected assault from Earth's hidden defenders. Commander Alina Vey watched the holographic displays as alien vessels shifted in confusion. The Dominion had believed humanity would cower and surrender. They had assumed fear was enough to control a primitive species. They had been wrong. Alina's plan was simple but dangerous. using stealth drones and decoy fleets, the Shadow Fleet, would lure the Dominion into a trap near the moon. Hidden railgun platforms and orbital cannons long kept secret awaited their target. Every movement was calculated. Every strike had been rehearsed countless times. This was humanity's chance not just to survive, but to send a clear message. Earth would never bow. Phase 2, Alina commanded, her voice calm but firm. Execute the lunar ambush. Do not engage until they enter the kill zone. Her pilots, trained in silence for decades, nodded in unison. Their fear was real, but so was their determination. They were fighting not just for strategy or orders, but for every human life, still clinging to hope on the surface below. As the Dominion fleet approached the moon, they laughed, assuming the humans were still weak, disorganized, and desperate. Their arrogance would be their downfall. The Shadow Fleet split into multiple invisible paths, some ships darting toward the moon while others created decoy signatures to draw attention. Human ingenuity and deception were in full display. Then, with the precision of a predator, the trap was sprung. Lunar railguns fired, massive beams tearing through the Dominion's capital-class vessels. Explosions lit the void, reflecting off the moon's surface and dazzling anyone watching from below. Smaller human ships struck from unexpected angles, targeting alien engines and shield generators. Chaos spread across the Dominion fleet. Ships collided, shields faltered, and confusion reigned. On Earth, people watching the night sky saw the first real glimmer of hope. The alien armada, once invincible in appearance, was being pushed back, their movements uncoordinated and panicked. Civilians whispered prayers of gratitude to invisible heroes, humans who had sacrificed everything to ensure the survival of their species. Alina's eyes never left the display. She saw victories and losses simultaneously. Every ship destroyed meant lives saved, but every pilot lost was a weight on her soul. "Keep the pressure," she ordered. "Do not give them time to regroup. Make them understand that humans are not to be underestimated." The Dominion's commander, realizing the trap too late, attempted to retreat, but the Shadow Fleet anticipated it. Human ships cut off escape routes, striking relentlessly. For the first time, the Dominion experienced fear not of loss, but of a species they had deemed inferior. Humans, the Dominion realized, could fight, adapt, and overcome in ways they had never imagined. Alina felt a surge of pride for her team. Each pilot, each engineer, each strategist was proving that humanity's greatest strength lay not in technology alone, but in courage, ingenuity, and determination. Even in the darkest hour, humans could turn the tide with careful planning and unyielding spirit. When the final blast of the lunar railgun shattered the Dominion's flagship shields, a ripple of shock ran through the alien forces. They were forced into retreat, battered, and humiliated. Earth's hidden fleet had won the first decisive victory in a war that had seemed hopeless. Alina exhaled deeply, her mind racing with relief and sorrow. The price had been high, but the message was clear. Earth would not surrender. Humanity was awake, united, and dangerous. The Dominion had underestimated them, and they had paid the cost. In the silence that followed, the Shadow Fleet regrouped. Pilots checked systems, tended to wounded ships, and mourned their losses. But beneath the grief, a quiet determination thrived. Humanity had shown the galaxy that even against a superior foe, courage, strategy, and unity could change destiny. Alina looked at the moon, its surface scarred from the battle. "This is only the beginning," she said softly, her eyes burning with resolve. "We fight for every human life, every city, every soul, and we will not stop until Earth is safe." The Dominion did not take defeat lightly. Their pride, shattered by the clever tactics of the Shadow Fleet, demanded vengeance. Massive warships moved with terrifying precision, targeting Earth's cities and the hidden lunar platforms. Energy beams lit the sky like deadly lightning, leaving trails of fire and ruin. Panic returned in waves across the planet, but humanity's defenders were ready. Commander Alina Vey stood at the bridge of the flagship, her hands tight on the console, her eyes blazing with determination. This was the moment they had been preparing for, the moment that would decide the fate of Earth. Full alert, she commanded. Prepare for their counterattack. All units, move to intercept. Protect civilians at all costs. Her voice carried across the fleet, steady and commanding, filling the pilots with resolve. These were ordinary humans trained in extraordinary circumstances who now faced an enemy whose technology had terrified entire star systems. But courage, she knew, was the edge humans had that the Dominion could never anticipate. The alien fleet descended closer to Earth, releasing their deadliest weapons. Cities shook as massive explosions tore through infrastructure. Panic spread, but below the chaos, ordinary humans were finding courage they never knew they had. Rescue teams, emergency, crews and hidden operatives worked tirelessly, coordinated by the Shadow Fleet's guidance. Alina's team had bought them precious time, but the battle was far from over. Alina studied the flagship of the Dominion, its energy shields glowing ominously. It was massive, bristling with weapons capable of obliterating anything in sight. The alien commander's eyes seemed to pierce through the holographic display, radiating contempt and confidence. But Alina saw something he could not: vulnerability. Years of observation, study, and intelligence gathering had revealed a flaw in the flagship's core systems, a narrow window where precision and bravery could achieve the impossible. Jarek's sacrifice was not in vain, Alina whispered. It's our turn now. With a steady hand, she piloted the flagship toward the Dominion vessel, flanked by the Shadow Fleet's most skilled pilots. Explosions erupted around them as alien weapons targeted the human fleet, but their maneuvering precision and coordination kept them one step ahead. Every pilot knew the risk. Death was possible. But the fate of billions rested on their skill and courage. The flagship's shields glimmered as Alina's ship approached the weak point. Her heart pounded with adrenaline, but her mind was clear. Now, she commanded, releasing the payload of precision strikes. Beams of energy, guided by human ingenuity and the fleet's advanced technology, tore into the Dominion flagship. Sparks and fire erupted, shaking the alien vessel as systems failed. The once mighty warship shuddered, then exploded in a blinding burst of light that lit the night sky for miles. Shock rippled through the Dominion fleet. Confusion spread like wildfire as their largest vessel, their command ship, was destroyed before their eyes. Pilots panicked, formation broke, and their attacks faltered. Humanity had done the impossible. They had turned a battle that seemed hopeless into a victory. On the surface, civilians emerged from shelters, watching the skies in awe. For the first time in days, they saw the alien ships retreating, damaged, and disorganized. Cheers and tears mingled as people realized that Earth had survived. Humanity had stood, fought, and won against overwhelming odds. Alina exhaled deeply, the tension of the battle leaving her body in a shudder. Her eyes swept across the fleet. Pilots and crew, exhausted but alive, met her gaze with quiet pride. Losses had been heavy, but the message was clear. Humanity was awake. Humanity was dangerous. Humanity would never bow. As the Dominion fled, into the void, scarred and humiliated, Alina whispered a promise to herself and to every human on Earth. We will never surrender. We will fight for our home. And we will survive no matter the cost. The Shadow Fleet had awakened. The galaxy would remember this day. The Dominion had fled, their massive ships streaking into the dark reaches of space, leaving Earth battered, but still standing. Cities lay in ruins, smoke rising from shattered buildings, yet life persisted. Humanity had endured, and the cost had been high, too high. Commander Alina Vey stood on the bridge of the flagship, staring out at the stars, where the enemy had vanished. Her chest heaved with exhaustion and tears burned her eyes, but she refused to fall. This was victory, and it was theirs to hold. Around her, the Shadow Fleet's pilots worked quietly, repairing systems, tending to wounded ships, and honoring the fallen. The loss had been real, and Alina felt every one of them in her heart. Commander. Jarek, Lieutenant Rao's youngest pilot and many others had given everything so that billions could survive. Their courage had been the spark that ignited humanity's fight, and their memory would never fade. Alina turned to her crew. We did what many thought impossible. We stood against a force that had conquered worlds, and we survived. But this is only the beginning. Humanity has shown the galaxy that we are not weak. We are a force to be reckoned with. Outside, Earth's people began to emerge from hiding. They stepped into the ruined streets with cautious hope, staring at the sky that had once been dominated by alien warships. Children clutched their parents' hands, their eyes wide with a mixture of fear and wonder. Ordinary humans who had once doubted their strength now understood something profound. Survival was not guaranteed, but courage could tip the scales, even in the face of overwhelming odds. Alina's mind wandered to the millions who had lived in fear for so long. Their prayers, their hope, their persistence had not been in vain. Humanity had risen together, united in a common purpose. And for the first time in centuries, the world felt a spark of true pride, a knowledge that they could fight for their home and win. The Shadow Fleet, once a secret, now symbolized something far greater than technology or weapons. It represented humanity itself, resilient, clever, and unbreakable. Alina could see it in her crew's eyes, in the faces of civilians, and even in the whispers of survivors recounting the story of how Earth had faced extinction and refused to surrender. In the silence that followed the Dominion's retreat, Alina allowed herself a moment to reflect. Fear had been their first companion, grief had been their second, but hope had been the strongest. The Shadow Fleet had fought not just for strategy, not just for orders, but for every human soul still alive. And in doing so, they had awakened something ancient and enduring in humanity. The refusal to bow, the will to survive, the courage to face impossible odds and win. Somewhere in the depths of space, across star systems that had never considered humans a threat, the Dominion now whispered warnings to one another. Earth was not weak, Earth was awake, and Earth would fight again if threatened. Humanity had sent a message that no force could ignore. They were alive, they were united, and they would never surrender. Alina looked once more at the stars, feeling both sorrow and pride. The war was far from over, the galaxy was vast, and threats would always exist, but humanity had discovered its strength, its heart, and its voice. No longer would they be underestimated. No longer would fear dictate their fate. As the Shadow Fleet sailed silently back to their hidden bases, Earth began to rebuild. The cries of the wounded mingled with the cheers of survivors, forming a chorus of resilience that filled the ruined cities. Humanity had faced the darkness and emerged stronger, united and unbowed. Alina whispered to herself, a vow as much as a reflection. We will protect our home. We will honor our fallen. We will fight for every life, every city, every soul. And the galaxy will never forget the day Earth awakened. Above the planet, hidden in the shadows and light of the new dawn, the fleet glimmered like stars themselves. Humanity had awakened. The Shadow Fleet had shown the universe that Earth was no longer just a fragile blue planet. It was a force to be reckoned with. And somewhere deep in the stars, distant worlds began to take notice, whispering a new fear. The humans have awakened, and they will not back down.